By now, we are well versed in using the link component for route navigation. Now, it's time to explore the second approach, employing the useRouter hook. To kick things off, let's open the header.js file. We'll streamline the process by replacing the last two links with regular buttons, dispensing with the hrefs. At the file's outset, we'll import the useRouter hook from next/navigation. Just beneath the function definition, we'll establish a constant called router, and this is equal to useRouter. Now save the file, and let's see what unfolds. As you can see, we've encountered an error indicating that the useRouter hook only functions within client components. Now let's clarify what precisely a client component is. To tackle this question, let's refer to the rendering section in the Next.js documentation. Before we dive into the specifics of client components, it's crucial to understand the concept of rendering. Rendering is the process of converting your written code into the visual content that users interact with on a website or application. In Next.js, you have the freedom to choose where and how your code undergoes this transformation into user interfaces. This transformation occurs in two key places, on the server side and on the client side. It's this distinction that sets the stage for comprehending client components and their role in your application's architecture. In Next.js, we have two rendering options, server-side and client-side rendering. By default, when you create a React component in Next.js, it's configured as a server component. Returning to the header.js file, we can comment out the router constant. As you can see, everything is back to working smoothly. Here is the About page, a combination of page.js in the About folder and the header.js file. Both of these components are server rendered. So, what is server-side rendering? It's a web development technique where web pages are generated on the server and then delivered to the user's browser as fully rendered HTML. Think of it as preparing a part of your web page on the server in advance and serving it to users as a complete HTML page. This approach comes with several key advantages. First, speedy initial page load. With pre-generated HTML content, users experience faster page loading, eliminating the need for the browser to fetch and execute JavaScript. We'll explore this further shortly. Second, SEO optimization. The readily available HTML source code makes it easy for search engines to crawl and index the content effectively. And then, enhanced user experience. Swift access to content contributes to a superior browsing experience. Now, let's take a look at what server-side rendering. SSR entails using Chrome's developer tools. Go to the About page in your browser and access the Chrome developer tools by right-clicking and selecting Inspect. Then, move to the Network tab, click on All, and refresh the page. What you're observing are the network requests for retrieving the necessary resources for this page. Click on the primary resource, which is the About page. Under the Response tab, you'll find the HTML content generated through server-side rendering. Now let's explore client-side rendering. CSR. In CSR, web pages are built and updated directly in the user's browser, often using JavaScript. This approach presents several key advantages. First, dynamic content. CSR is perfect for web applications with frequently changing and dynamic content. It empowers real-time updates and interactive features without the need for complete page reloads. Second, reduced server load. CSR minimizes the server's role to sending the initial HTML shell and JavaScript code to the browser. The browser independently fetches data and updates the page without continuous server requests for HTML content. And then, enhanced user interactivity. CSR allows for intricate interactions such as form submissions, real-time chat, or interactive maps, enabling updates without the requirement for full-page refreshes. One of Next.js's standout features is its ability to seamlessly blend server-side rendering and client-side rendering within the same page. Pages are crafted from components, and you have the flexibility to specify which components should be server-side or client-side. By default, components are set as server-side, offering you control over your application's rendering approach. With the new version of Next.js, transforming a server-side component into a client-side one is a breeze. Just include useClient within quotes at the top of the component file. Let's put this into practice by updating our header.js file. So add useClient at the top. After removing the comment, you can observe that the error has vanished. Before diving into router usage, let's use another React hook, the useState hook. But this time, we'll handle it within the page.js itself. As you've probably guessed, we're facing a familiar error. To address this, we need to convert it into a client-side component. Remember, pages are essentially components too. Therefore, simply add useClient at the top. It's worth noting that this practice is essential for gaining a solid understanding, but in general, it's recommended to maintain server rendering for your pages and integrate client-side components as needed. Let's create a simple example. We'll manage a color state variable with const chosen color. Set chosen color initially set to green. Using React fragments, we'll structure the content inside a div and add a button labeled change color. Applying Tailwind CSS classes like bg_black and text_white will handle the styling. We'll convert the div to an h1 and set the color with inline styling to match the chosen color. To enhance visibility, we'll increase the font size to 2 rem units. Now, let's make the button switch between, let's say, green and blue when clicked. We'll set the onClick attribute to toggle color. To make this happen, define the toggle color function at the top. So set chosen color. Chosen color is strictly equal to green. Question mark blue if not, then green. Let's give it a try. As you can see, it works perfectly. As previously mentioned, it's advisable to keep your pages primarily as server-side components. However, when specific parts of the page require interactivity, it's time to convert them into client-side components. Let's implement this approach. We'll start by creating a new component within an About Components folder, nestled inside the About directory. What should we name this new component? How about color component? Let's start by converting this into a client component. Now navigate to the About page. Select all the JSX content, cut it, and paste it here. To revert it to a server component, just remove this line. We'll also move these elements into the new component. Great. To complete the process, import the color component into this About file and render it. See, it's working fine.